Hello to my viewers and channel subscribers. So today is how to touch up paint after a repair. There was an old flat screen here, but it was in like a big box and stuff that we took down, and we put up this nice new wall mount, which is like a low profile wall mount, and this shelf for the cable box, and it was my idea to offset it to give it that nice high-tech look. So anyway, there's a mark from the old box, and there was a lot of holes, which we spackled, and using my technique, because we all know that drywall compound shrinks as it dries. So if we just put one coat on and then come back a few days later planning to paint, is going to be depressions. It's going to look real crappy. So you really have to put on 2 or 3 coats because it shrinks as it dries. But me being a handyman and running around to all these different houses, I don't have time to come back like 3 times to touch up a little spot that I fixed. Let's say there was a domestic violence and a punch in the wall, or a kid, a teenager, like knocked a lacrosse stick through the wall or something. My technique is to fix the patch, and the first coat I use like plaster of Paris or a fast drying powdered drywall compound that you have to mix up that they sell. And that stuff dries. You can get it like in 20-minute, 45-minute, 90-minute, whatever. So I get the 20-minute, or I use plaster of Paris. Mix it up to a peanut butter-like consistency and do my first coat. Dries in 20 minutes, then I come with the drywall compound. Now see, plaster of Paris dries really fast, but it's like rock hard and you can't sand it. So you don't want that as a top coat. You want it as the base coat. Then on top you put regular drywall compound that comes pre-mixed in a bucket. That's very easy to sand, but it takes a long time to dry, and it shrinks when it dries. And so does plaster, it shrinks a little bit. So first coat plaster of Paris or fast setting powdered drywall compound, and then 20 minutes later, second coat of regular drywall compound out of the bucket, and I put it on very thin so that when I come back I have very little sanding to do. Okay, so I have put some plastic sheeting. But first we took the television off, and I leaned it like with the screen angle down, because any dust that gets in the I just don't want to like have to clean up the TV. So this is the access to the back, which came in quite handy in this situation. Let me step back a little bit, because I was able to run the wires for the cable and the HDMI and the electric behind here. So we have access. The wires come through this hole. The TV covers this really nice, but I am going to put some primer in there to stop the dust from coming out. Okay, so we masked off our mounting bracket. This was a big hole that I fixed with a patch of sheetrock, and the rest of this are just nail and screw holes, little nail and screw holes. But as you can see, I put very little compound on. I'm going to try to get just a very little, which makes the sanding easier. If you gop that stuff on, it's just more work when you have to sand it off. Lightly sand this just so it's feather-edged and flush, and take all these little dimples out and stuff. And then we're going to hit it with the primer with a roller, because the rest of the wall roller was used. We don't want to come with a brush. That would leave brush marks. We're going to come with the roller. And then while that's drying, I have a couple other things to fix in the house, little thing. And then we're going to come with our top coat, which I hope is the right color. It's just a can I found in the garage that looks close. And we're going to put the paint on with a roller. And then we're going to hang the TV back up, clean up, and we're done. So sandpaper, I'm actually going to use 150 grit, which is more than enough for sheetrock repairs. You won't see any sanding marks if it's done correctly. And the way you do sandpaper is you take a full sheet and you fold it in half. You fold it a couple of times back and forth, and then you rip it on the fold line, so you end up with a half a sheet like this. You fold it in thirds, simply like this. Okay, so this way, when you use up one side, you have the other side, and then when you use that up, you got the third side just by changing your folds. And when we sand, alright, so that's a neat little trick. That's how you do sandpaper. And when you sand, you use a flat hand, flat palm, so you don't leave, like if you just went with like your fingertips like this, you would leave like finger marks. So you want to get as flat a hand as possible when you sand, and use a flat hand. Okay, so I think I got a good camera angle, I think. Again, flat hand, okay? I'm going to start up in the top, and I just want to kind of evenly sand the area. And you'll know you pick off too much because you'll start seeing some of your repairs coming through. But that's it. That area is done. It's feather edged. In other words, the edge is like a feather, blends into the other surface, and that one's done. Now we're going to do this one and this one at the same time. And I can see that repair starting to come through, so I'm going to lay off that area, but concentrate on the edges around it, because this will be visible when the TV is up. This other stuff isn't really visible, but okay, that area is done. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to move down to this spot. I'm going to start here, and but the TV covers this when it's up, so it's not such a big deal, but we still got to do it. Feather edge. And that's done. I'm just coming over here. And that area is done. And as you can see, the sanding goes really fast. I mean, what did that take, like 48 seconds? But the sanding goes really fast if you put it on right. If you make a mess when you're putting it on, it's going to be a lot of work sanding. A lot of work, a lot of dust, a lot of mess. Let's pull the camera closer, and you can get a look at that. So, sometimes I like to just to get the dust off from the sanding. Okay, because whatever is on here is going to be in the paint. So now there's a little bit of repair in here, but the TV is going to cover that. And as you can see, what I mean by feather edge, it's just really blends. Maybe that the autofocus caught that it just really blends like almost like a misty, smoky edge. And all right, so that sanding is done. I think what I'm gonna do, because we got a little messy here, is just basically like brush this onto the drop cloth on the floor, because I got to come in here with a paint roller, and I don't want to accidentally pick up any sanding dust on my roller. Okay, so we're ready. We are ready to come with the primer, on the roller, and I'm just gonna. I want to just touch up a little feather edge here. And there's a little nick here, and although sometimes leaving little defects like that, I mean, because it's not a brand new wall, but this is a girl's room, it's not really beat up, but, you know, to make it blend in, sometimes if, like, the wall's got little defects in it, and then you come with, like, a really smooth and perfect repair, it shows. So sometimes you want to leave little defects, but I'm just going to do a little bit more here. And there we go, that defect is gone. And I have such a light pressure I used on that. Okay. So we don't need a lot of paint because it's just a little spot we're doing. So I one-handed, but I want to work a little paint onto this roller and get it in the nap of the roller. And then head on upstairs. This way the paint could soak in for a minute. So I'm just kind of working a little paint on this roller and then work the roller in different directions and flipping it over on the paint tray liner. Okay, so that'll soak in while I'm running upstairs, and that's probably all the primer I'm gonna need. It's not a lot of stuff we're doing up there, it's just little touch-ups, so let's head on up without spilling the paint in the lady's house, because that would be a mess. So I'm gonna put the camera away so I can hold onto this paint tray with 2 hands. And there's the back of the work truck there. Alright, I made it up here without spilling the paint. So again, working a little paint into the roller. We want it nicely covered, nicely soaked in. Okay, now I've already sanded it and brushed down the extra dust. Now in up and down, we're going to prime the repairs. We only have to prime the spots that we repaired, and also any, like these pencil marks that may show through because it's a high contrast. And this is from that old case that was up there. I don't make big pencil marks like that. I make nice, neat little pencil marks. Okay, so we got another repair over here, and I'm just lightly back and forth with the primer. And then we got repairs here, and pencil marks. Load up my roller again. Okay, that's it. This will be dry in 20 minutes and we can top coat it. So, I don't know. I thought this would be a very photogenic shot with the autumn foliage, leaves, and stirring this paint up. I thought it would be a cool effect. All right, look at that. Okay. So you want to stir from the bottom to the top, so I'm in slow motion. I'm kind of exaggerating it, but that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And then at some point you want to go and like wipe the bottom of the can with the end of the paint stick. Get all the pigments and the fillers up into solution. And then we want to go the other way maybe. And then we want to like come to the side of the can and kind of scrape down the side of the can with the end of the paint scraper. At least this is what I do. And then back to the bottom to top stirring motion for a couple of minutes. I mean, it's pretty boring, but it's got to be done. And you want to get all the chemicals mixed up in the right proportions that the manufacturer designed the formula. So we got to do a good job in stirring and get all the areas, and maybe even turn the can 90 degrees and again with the exaggerated bottom to top, and then little twirlies all around, and then back to this until your arm aches, and then do it some more. Sure hope this is the right color. Oh, broke my paint stirrer. Okay, I guess that's a sign we're almost done stirring the paint. Really want to stir it good. Okay, ouch, my hand hurts. It's all cramped up. Okay, now we're going to do just like we did with the primer.